I'm going to show how to make an easy, quick wooden ladder stand out of 5 2x4x10s. This cost me about $35 worth of material and took me about an hour or so to make. I like making these wooden ladder stands, one because they're easy, and two because they're very quiet, much quieter than a metal ladder stand. And if you happen to leave them in the woods, not that big a deal, you're not out that much. At the very end, I'll include a materials list with the instructions. When you're making these angle cuts, here's your pivot point, and here are the different degrees, 5, 10, 15. All you have to do is put this flat edge here, square up against your board, and then go to the other end of it. So hold it with your thumb, rotate this out. Once again, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Pull it out until this line at 15, just eyeball it, is right here on the edge of the board. Hold it down, and then mark the back side of your gauge, and that'll get you your angles. You can use one of these drops as a template. You want to make sure when you cut these, the top angle and the bottom angle are running parallel, because if you mess up, you could have your angles doing like this, and you want both your angles parallel. I almost made a mistake here. I almost did what would be very easy to do and cut these not parallel. The way I determine that is I just walk down there to the end of the board and I look and I put my hand the way the angle is, then I bring it up here and you can see my hand is not at the angle. The angle that I marked is going across my hand like this. So the angle needs to be like this. So now if I take this and put the pointed end on the side of the board that's away from me, line up the edge, mark it, do the same thing right here. Now on your two 24-inch seat runners, you need to give these a 15-degree angle as well. You'll see all this come together in a minute. clamp them together, line my lines up, I can cut them in one pass. So the reason I do that is so when I put this piece here, so this is your leg where your steps are gonna go. This is the part where you're gonna sit. And when we marry these up, because we cut the angle on these, so it'll have a nice lean towards the tree, all these angles line up here and they look nice. Okay, let's start some assembly. What I like to do is, this is the top. I'm gonna come down about 19 inches. It's kind of really up to you, what feels comfortable with you. I'm just putting one nail in here until I get the bottom step done, because I may need to adjust it at the bottom, in or out, make sure they're parallel. From the bottom, I'm going to come up 13 inches. Really, that's kind of a personal preference. You could be shorter or higher, whatever you like. I put the top of my step on the bottom of my mark. If you do this way, obviously your step's going to be higher than 13 inches. After I get my first step established, from the top of this one to the bottom of that one, 14, top of here, bottom of here, 14, and you'll have about 14 inches in between all these steps. And yes, you are stepping a little bit higher from the first step to these. That's just what I do. Obviously, you can space your steps out any way you want to. I also like to make a little stick and just cut it off at 14 inches. I can just stick the stick in between and use that as my guide instead of having to measure every single time. Here, make sure when my speed square, it's square, and it is, so I know every time I reference it'll be good going all the way up. Just pop one nail to start, move over. When I shoot these nails, I like to come not directly over top of the 2x4, but back some and angle it so I'm shooting it at an angle. That way it's less likely to split this. Okay, now we've got our basic ladder built. Now we can start on the top part. So now we get the two platform runners. I put these on the outside and attach them however you want to do it. I'm just going to put a couple of nails for a quick second. That'll hold it right there. I will attach that with a screw. All right, boom. So what I like to do now is come back about 15 inches. We'll have this piece in here, and then I'll have two diagonal pieces coming from here. That'll be where your tree will wedge into right there. I like to pull my first seat slat back about 1.5 inches. Then I'll put the second one at the top of here, the bottom of the board at the top of here. And then take the third one and just kind of eyeball the middle. Now my eyeball wasn't very good because that gap's obviously bigger, but you get the idea. Now there's your seat platform. Now what we need to do, put our diagonals on here for the tree, and then put diagonals from here to here just to give it a little bit more support. And it's gonna go underneath here, but just to get my angle, I'll just kind of put it up here and eyeball it. It's okay, I like that. And go underneath it, mark it. I've got my angle. All right, now I've got this. And I'll just attach this with some nails. I'm going to use this one as a pattern for my other board. I don't want this to be sticking out here. I want that to be flush and keep my angle nice here. Pop it there. Okay, let's work on these tree angle braces that are gonna go in there like that. All right, first thing we wanna do is find the center, 12 and a 16th. So what you do here is where you have your center line here, right at that center line, and put this at the very back end of the board down there, put some pressure on it, and just mark your boards. Now we've got these boards marked for the angle, and once we cut this one, we'll use this one as a pattern for the other one. When I cut these, and so I don't have to bevel my saw, I'm just gonna make a double cut. So I'm just gonna hold it like this, take the saw, cut across here. Obviously the blade depth will go here. Then I'm gonna just flip it over and cut the angle here. If you have one of these, this is nice because I can get this angle here, lock this down, and then just transfer this angle over to here. If you don't have the bevel gauge, you can always use the speed square. Put your pivot point up here, 74.5 approximately. I can just transfer this to the other side. So you don't have to have a bevel gauge to do that. Okay, so not too bad there. Now let me use this to make a template. So now we're going to end up with something about like that right there with a small gap in the middle, but still not a big deal.